Hi Paul, great to see you again yesterday and do some work on your swing. Much better positions than you were getting in previous weeks. There is still an element of flip on the way through, but nowhere near as much as before. You can see that's a much quieter pass at it. However, when we look at the through swing here, we can see at this point here now, we're looking directly down the toe end of the golf club. Now, one of the things we discussed was removing the need to flip at the golf ball. One of the ways we can do that is by continuously trying to stabilise the head position. If we stabilise the head, we stabilise the upper centre, and a lot of the movements you then make with your hands are no longer required. So we take a little look at you during your golf swing. You keep a pretty stable head position on the way back. On the way down, there's a tendency to just rock back a little bit, and whenever you rock back, you're going to do that in varying degrees. But whenever you rock back, there's a tendency to want to just flip a little bit on the way through. So what we did then was we took the time to stabilise the head position, and we talked about the drill that you could use where you place your head up against the wall. So you can see here I put my hand on your forehead to illustrate that, and then when you do that, make some swings, and this just teaches you to tilt left, rotate and stand up at the correct rate on the way back and also on the correct rate on the way through. And you can see as you do that, it's a much quieter pass at the golf ball on the way through with your hands, and as the club exits the body, it exits lower, and we can now start to see some grooves on the club face, if you will, on the way through. If we compare that to what we see with Charlie Wee on the way through, we're going to see a very stable head position, maintains his inclination to the ball very well as he approaches impact, and through impact, very quiet pass at it with the hands, and as he comes through there now, you can see that we're looking more at his club face rather than the back of his club like we saw at the start of your session. The other thing we would like to try and cultivate is a little bit more of a backswing where the left wrist is flat and the shaft is a little bit more laid off. Now, it isn't actually laid off, it just appears to be laid off because the club is short of parallel. But you can see there now with a relatively flat swing and a relatively short arm swing like we see with Charlie Wee, the shaft line should sit slightly to the left of parallel to your target line. We can see with yourself it's more or less parallel with your target line. So effectively in real terms that is actually across the line. We've got a very cut left wrist also, which doesn't bode well when we try and come through impact and try and create a flatter left wrist. So what we're trying to do is create this feeling and look at what's causing this to happen. One of the reasons you get that is because your forearms don't rotate properly on the way back. The drill we gave you for that was using the basket, get the arms hanging out in front of you, open end of the basket pointing directly out in front of you also. You're going to take the club or take the basket back as you would normally with a slight left tilt, open end of the basket still pointing out in front of you, and then the feeling then is that you're going to try and throw the golf balls. If this basket was full of balls, you're going to try and throw the balls behind you. In order to do that, you've got to start to rotate the forearms differently. You can see there's an element of rotation as you start back. And at the top of the backswing now, we can see the lines on the basket would illustrate the line of the shaft. Left wrist much flatter, arms still in that nice deep position, and from there you can quite comfortably come through and attack the ball in the appropriate manner. Good luck with it, have a lovely holiday, and I look forward to working with you further upon your return. Well done.